Well, we are working on this thing tonight. Okay, good place to set this thing up at. Where shall I set it up at? Let's see if I can get something better to set this camera up on. Let's see, what does this look like? Nah, that looks terrible. That off. Yo, what's up, Jack A? We are doing work on the 351 Cleveland engine that's going in my dad's Ranchero right now. I measured all the bearing clearances, and they're all within spec. So I'm putting the pistons in the engine right now and torquing them down. And then we're going to measure the running resistance of the engine as it spins over, because the bearings are just a little bit tighter than Ford spec, but as long as the engine spins over smoothly and within a certain tolerance, should be good. Let's just chat that far. We need to move this closer. Will you check the valve lash? Oh, yeah, we're way far away from checking valve lash on this engine. It is. It was a machine job. We're checking the bottom end. I don't even have the heads. What's up, No-Go 50? We're just checking the bottom end right now, making sure everything's good there. I don't even have the heads for it yet. But I just got to verify all the machine work was done and everything's in spec and tolerance, and then I can start ordering the heads and all of that stuff for it. You have a pushrod twin cylinder. What's that on? Man, if I'm gonna do more of these live streams, maybe I should get a better setup for doing this. I don't know. I don't know if y'all can see this table here that has all the pistons on it. Is right there. Indian Scout vertical twin. That's pretty cool. Just torquing these down. These are 40 to 45 foot-pounds. That's number 3 right here. Just going to oil up the bearings. And we're putting this in without piston rings right now because we're just measuring the resistance of the bearings. And then just put some oil on the side of the piston here so it slides nicely inside the cylinder. You want to be very careful sliding these in because you've got the studs that you don't want to nick the cylinder walls or the surface on the crankshaft. And there's my rag. I had a rag here, not that one. A lot of this stuff is pretty tedious work. I've already done hours and hours of this, checking the bearing clearances on the crankshaft, checking the bearing clearances on the rods, taking this apart multiple times, putting it back together. Number 2 now. Some of these caps go on easier than others. Oh shit, and I just dropped a nut. That's okay, we'll get it back out. What happened with this engine was it spun 2 rod bearings. And it spun 2 rod bearings and it fucked up the, that's for that one. And it fucked up the the sizing inside the rod itself. So there's a machining tolerance. It basically made it like egg shaped. So those rods had to be resized, and a couple of them it's really tight getting the caps on. My machinist said that that's okay so long as it goes on and it torques down fine, which it does. Put this one down to 43 foot-pounds. Last one. And when you check the running resistance of the bearings, you do it with oil, not assembly lube. Because assembly lube is going to skew the readings tight. Last bearing cap. My hands are oily, so I'm dropping everything. Does anybody know of goats streaming tonight? All right. Got all the pistons in now. Oil on everything, of course. Just working. All right, so now we got all 8 pistons in, and I'm gonna flip this engine back over. It's a heavy bitch. There we go. Okay. There we go. Tighten that back down. Okay. So we got here to measure the running resistance. This is a beam style inch-pound indicator. And our spec, I measured it with just the crankshaft in it and no pistons. was our spec for it running with no pistons in it. So now we're going to measure it with the pistons in it, and I have to check with my machinist. It should be just slightly tighter, but not that much tighter. So take this here. Let's see. Okay. So our breakaway was what, 30? Yeah, it was right about 30 was our breakaway. And then our running is like 20. Make sure it stays on there. Breakaway's right at 30. And then our running, I have to move this, set this back up over here to get an accurate reading on it. Running is right about 25. 25 to 30 running. $20, $15, $20. It depends how much you get it going and moving. It's right about 20 running. Breakaways right about 25 to 30. $25 to $35 breakaway, depending on where it's at. And then running right there is about 15. Running right there is about 25. So 15 to 25 running. And what did I say? 25 to 35 breakaway. Yeah, okay. All right. So I'm gonna write that down now. It was 25 to 35 inches. Running 15 to 25. Okay, all right. So I will send that stuff to my machinist and see what he says. Those nice new aluminum pistons look pretty cool though, don't they? I mean, it spins over really nicely. Flip this engine back over now. hopefully all that's good. I still have to recheck the thrust bearing. The thrust bearing clearance, which is the end play back and forth of the crankshaft here. There's a bearing that the center bearing has these side pieces that come up over. There's a machine portion on those sides of the crank where that rides on. I think it's in spec, but I got to recheck it because I don't know if I checked it right. But yeah, checking all this. It's a lot of fucking tedious work checking all this shit. There. I got all the parts ordered for the ZX6. So basically now it's just wait for them to come in and put it back together. Did I get the crank balanced? Yeah, my machinist balanced the crank. He did all that. Goat has one set up for 11. Oh yeah, I'm definitely not going to be live streaming by then. I'll probably close this out here in just a minute. I ain't really got much else to say. Pretty much done. I got the shims from Partzilla. They were Hot Cams brand. So I got the shims from them. And yeah, I got the ones I need. There's going to be a range that they're in, and I was able to set them. The intake I wanted to set kind of towards the middle. Get shims that I calculated towards the middle because the range was tighter than the exhaust, and when you put it together, if you calculate it for a shim that's like on one end or the other, your calculations can sometimes be a little bit off. So it's best to like put it towards the middle. And that way, if it's off a little bit one way or the other, it's still in spec. And you would never grind them down. No, don't grind the shims down because they're very, very tight tolerance, and it's not guaranteed that you would grind them down perfectly flat, and they would have to be ground down perfectly flat. So I would say, no, do not grind the shims down. If you were assured that you could get it ground down exactly perfectly, then maybe you could go ahead and grind the shims down. But just as a general rule, I would say do not try to do that because you could end up fucking up the bike pretty bad. And I finally moved. I had all this glass. I don't have a lathe, and you wouldn't. Yeah. If you don't have I mean, it would be hard to chuck up a valve shim into a lathe anyway. It's just they're cheap. It's just you got to wait for them to come in. I'll just order the shims. You don't even have digital micrometer or calipers. I'm trying to think. You can do it without it, as long as you go off of the numbers that are on the shims, which is basically what I did. But it's nice to have a micrometer to verify what shim you have, because sometimes the numbers get worn off. But I had all this glass for the Newport was on this shelf over here, and I finally got all the chrome trim. I have a couple more pieces left. Got that moved off. Most of it's on the car now. I've got a few more pieces to clean and buff out. But I moved all the parts for the engine for the Ranchero over here. They had been scattered in a couple of different places. So I finally got all the parts for it in one place here. And that's still parts for the Newport. I got trim under there. And I got a couple of pieces back here. And then the next ones I have to clean and polish are still up here. This one's right here. But they're going on nicely. So I guess everybody's out. So I'm going to go ahead and close the stream out now.